Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte.
We'll say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas.
Present.
Councilmember Brooke Marcotte.
here.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard. Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Dee Dee Johnson-Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Dustin Sweer.
Thank you. Item 1, public comment. Please put your phones on silent. Remember, there's no back and forth. We just listen. And it's a 3-minute time limit.
Good. Mr. Richard Phillips for agenda item 6A.
My name is Richard Phillips. First of all, I'd like to state I'm an unapologetic capitalist who believes in the free market. It's the best way to get things done. I missed last week's meeting. I read about it in the paper. There was about a 25-year agreement, and I think there was some objections. Again, I don't know what was said. I read the newspaper, and it was quick. My take is simply this. These duly elected people in front of me, they endeavor to serve the citizens that they represent by acting in the manner that serves all of the constituents best. That's their job. Now, if we're able to expect a private industrial entity to satisfy the needs, especially in a market that is under attack in D.C., we must trust that they will offer a fair and equitable service, coupled with their clients granting the means for them to do it. Where there is no flexibility for them to meet future long-term unknowns, there is very little incentive for them to make the long-term investments in order to serve their clients. The oil industry is facing the same thing. For yourself, the alternative may be experienced by going to a place, a country, where utility interruptions due to the lack of the required equipment to produce their product. I believe we call that place the Ukraine.
Thank you. Madam Clerk? Item 2A.
Acceptance of the minutes of February 7th, 2023, which published on February 22nd, 2023.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas, a second by Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte. Do we have any discussion about our minutes of February the 7th? Hearing seen none, please vote your machines. Thank you. 3A.
Troy Como to address the council regarding the proposed dedication of Admiral Doyle Drive as Veterans Memorial Drive.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you tonight. Quite some time ago, I met up with a World War II veteran gentleman who expressed his concern and dissatisfied opinion that for the size of our community, we did not have a street dedicated or named Veterans Drive. So that weighed on me for a little while, and life got busy and I moved on, and here recently I've revisited that thought, and it kind of weighed heavy on my heart. My dad was a World War II veteran and very involved in the community in many different clubs and groups and ways of service to the community as a veteran. So I felt felt like it was time for me to do something to try and bring that conversation back to life and see what the opportunities were or might be. So, in just talking casually to some folks, the suggestion came up that maybe we could dedicate a road, and then Admiral Doyle was probably the most significant because of the fact that it ran into the Navy base, with now our base, airport, whatever, as people refer to it. It's one of the longest, if not the longest, east and west corridor in our community, and would have a tremendous impact. So we started talking about it a little bit, and it turned into a plan, if you will, or a proposal. So I've been going around to the different organizations in the community, both civic and veterans groups, and requesting a letter of support or a resolution of support to request the state of Louisiana to consider dedicating Admiral Doyle to become known as Veterans Memorial Drive. So that's what I've been working on off and on for the last several months, and the response has been great, and people are excited about that. Obviously, especially the veterans groups were very, very pleased to hear that that was a possibility. In my homework, I spoke with Representative Bo Bollier, and he volunteered or agreed to bring that to Baton Rouge and attach it to a bill in the spring session, and see about getting that passed for us. So I'm here tonight just to ask for your support, resolution of support that we can put in the package as we deliver that to him, and he can bring it to Baton Rouge on our behalf.
Question, it's not a name change.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, let me add one more thing.
Because
You're right, it's not a name
we've been
change.
through that as a council, we've
Right.
been through that and had to tell people no. It's a whole lot of steps.
Right.
We have some that people are mad at us, but 911, sometimes you run it up the flagpole and 911 says no, and that's our final
Right.
say. We can't trump them.
Right.
So I wanted to be clear and to
Yes,
understand for
thank you.
myself that it wasn't a name change.
Yes.
It's basically what we did with Hopkins Street, and we did a memorial dedication to Dr. Martin Luther King, and we have signs that are off to the side, but no, I don't want to panic a bunch of businesses. Nobody
Yes.
has to change their address
Correct.
or anything. It is a dedication,
Yes.
and it'll be just some signage along Admiral Doyle.
Yes, thank you for.
No, I
clarifying
just
that.
wanted to make
No,
sure, because I'm sure, look, it wasn't, if I
Yes.
didn't do it, everybody else was. We
Yeah.
just been through this as a council
Absolutely.
quite a few times already.
Definitely not
Okay.
an address change or.
Good, good.
It would be just strictly a dedication, and I've been traveling a little bit here over the last couple of weeks, and now I notice the signs everywhere. Biloxi, Lafayette, all the way to Houma for Mardi Gras, and back a couple of different times. And I've been noticing the bridges, the overpasses, the streets, in addition to obviously the buildings and what have you. But so that's what I'm here to request, that you entertain that possibility in supporting that movement.
Questions or comments?
No, I think, no, I was just gonna say, I'm definitely in support of it. My brother and my sister are veterans, and I think that would be a nice way to honor our veterans that are served from New Iberia.
Thank you, I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayor, Troy, I think it's a great idea. And you didn't mention that Admiral Doyle it's already named after the
Yes.
admiral that was over the air base, am I correct? It was
That's correct.
Admiral Doyle.
I think
was over the
James Henry Doyle
Yeah.
in 1960.
base, was an admiral.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a question though. Does Lafayette have a veterans?
I believe it's Ambassador
Lamel?
Caffrey,
No,
north of Johnson Street
Oh,
towards I-10.
yeah. He's right.
Somebody told me that they
I've seen
after
that.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
I've
Not
seen
to
that
say
sign, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
that they noticed it after I
Yes.
went to the parish council meeting. He said he had noticed it the weekend before.
Yeah.
One of the parish council members called it to my attention.
Yeah, we like Lafayette, but anything we can do better and bigger than them, man, we can't compete with them, but anything we can do better and bigger than them,
Right.
you know?
Right?
Yeah, I think, Troy, I mean, obviously got my support far too often that veterans don't get recognized enough, in my opinion,
Right.
and this is just a small token that
Absolutely.
we can do, and I'm assuming the parishes, on the parish portion, Amador, they on board with it as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think it's just a win-win for us as elected officials and as a community as a whole.
Absolutely. Thank you. I agree.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to mention too, I am in support of it. I think it's a great idea, and we have a city nearby that's smaller than us, Abbeville. They have a Veterans Memorial.
Sure do. They
So
sure
I think it's long overdue. So thank you for taking this up. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
do.
Yes, sir.
Freddie, can we do a letter of resolution in support of it?
I will put it on the next agenda. We can get a resolution and a letter of support.
Okay.
Not a problem.
I appreciate
you.
it. One more note, you didn't miss your opportunity to get a shirt like this. This is about 15 years old.
I got one in my closet.
I'm proud to say I can still fit in mine. I'm not sure if Mr. Gonsolin can say the same, but,
All right?
but yeah, they're true to my heart. And thank you all for what y'all doing at the Pepperplex as well.
Thank you, because you were on board from the very beginning,
Yes,
so
sir.
that's a good thing.
Glad to see it moving.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
4A, Madam Clerk.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-10, amendment number 9, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect adjustment for Founder's Park.
I need a motion to open our public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed. Is there any public comment on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to close.
So move.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas and Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte. Thank you very much. 4B.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-11, amendment number 10, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect the sale of 4 police units and a portion applicable expenses.
I need a motion to open this public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to close.
So move.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas and Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte. Thank you. 5A.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-10, amendment number 9, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect adjustment for Founder's Park.
I need a motion.
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 Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing and seeing none, please vote your machines. Thank you very much. 5B.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-11, amendment number 10, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect the sale of 4 police units and a portion applicable expenses.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed and a second by Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte. Is there any discussion on this item? Then I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you very much. Resolution 6A.
Resolution number 23-16, opposing any and all increases to CLECO utility rates affecting residential and commercial customers within the city of New Iberia.
I need a motion.
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 Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed. Is there any discussion on this item?
I thought
So
it was
this is,
One at a time. Yes,
I'm
I
sorry.
think,
I thought it was gonna be a unanimous motion.
You can request it.
yeah,
You can request it, unanimous.
yeah, we don't ever do those, but we could.
I request a unanimous motion
To say that we don't like
Support.
utility
In
bills?
support.
in support of opposing any and all increases to CLECO utility rates affecting residential and commercial
I'll second the motion.
customers.
Okay, so we have a substitute motion on the floor and a second. Do we need any discussion on that, or do y'all want to just vote on it?
What does
Oh,
this
we can talk
actually
about
do, though?
We're gonna have a discussion
Okay.
either way.
Okay.
So should we discuss that after we vote on this? Does that end discussion?
No, but why don't we discuss it?
And then vote? We can
Yeah.
still vote unanimously,
Yeah.
but I would like a discussion.
We've got a couple different things going on here. One is an expression of opposition to increases, which I think is pretty clear and something that we've all talked about before. The other is the city taking action at the Public Service Commission to roll back existing rates. And that's a different question. And it's a different level of involvement. I see no problem at all with a resolution from the council expressing an opinion that we don't want any more increases at all for any reason. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. A couple of weeks ago when this issue came up, I contacted Karen White at Louisiana Municipal Association. She's the attorney who's, the head attorney over there. And I talked to her about this, and I said, look, I don't do Public Service Commission work. I'm not familiar with Public Service Commission work. There's been some talk about asking for a rate decrease, and I'm not sure how that works. So I talked to her, and she recommended an attorney at the Keene Miller firm that we could talk to about that, who does regulatory work, and I think I've forwarded information on that attorney to Marlo and Dee Dee and Deidre. And so I reached out to her, couldn't get her immediately. I also called one of the staff attorneys at the Public Service Commission to ask about how that would be done, because apparently Mr. Francis has indicated that that could be done. And she also recommended that we talk to that same attorney who is experienced in dealing with CLECO regulatory issues for consumers of electricity, mostly industrial consumers. The Keene Miller firm is a Baton Rouge law firm that is general counsel to the Municipal Association, and we have turned to them over the years. I don't think that since the present mayor came in that we've used them, but I know we've used them in the past for things like the consent decree for our sewer issues many years ago. They worked on that. They worked on a lot of civil service issues. They're the experts that people bring in. And after I talked to this attorney, she talked about the process of this Carrie Turnalon is her name, the process of contacting her firm. They'd have to run a conflict check and all the things that you have to do with big firms. And then she sent an email, and after midnight one day, because she was about to leave town and she was clearing stuff off her desk, but she offered to meet with us by video call, Zoom call, can't be a quorum, but offered to meet with us at no charge for about an hour of education about how the Public Service Commission works and how things go on there, which I think is a great idea. So I
Great.
think that's the next step. I think we always need to be careful about getting involved in litigation, which is really what this is. You start with an administrative law judge, and then there are appeals to the Baton Rouge District Court, which is the 19th District. But some of these things get very involved and very expensive. So I think we need to understand what the real issues are before we decide to weigh in and do something like file a rate case, where we want to call CLECO into court. So I think she's experienced. I think she understands who we are and what we're concerned about. Karen White was supportive of the idea that the city government would express an opinion on this. There was no doubt about that. And she encouraged me to talk to this Carrie person who I talked to. So I think, my suggestion is you adopt this resolution, you send it on to the Public Service Commission, but then you take the next step to talk to Carrie Turnalon or somebody in a similar situation with similar experience about how you actually attack an existing rate in the Public Service Commission.
Okay.
Because there are several different issues that could be involved here. I know our folks here are primarily concerned about the rates and ability to pay. The Public Service Commission, I think, is primarily concerned about return on equity and regulating a certain return for utility companies. And those two things may not match up, because it could be that there's a rate that the Public Service Commission will approve that is more than a lot of people can pay. But that's what we need to talk to this Carrie person about, because I think our concerns, if we take them up there, we need to know what we're doing and be prepared and have the information that we might need to have to push on this. So I think what we got is a free hour of education from an expert that we could do by Zoom. My suggestion to the mayor was several, maybe 3 council members. I know, I don't mean to shortchange Marlo. I know he voted against this thing, but I know Dee Dee and Deidre were very concerned about this and have been out front on that. So maybe certainly include those two. Have a meeting at this Carrie Turnalon's convenience and have her educate us on how this process works.
Okay.
Because I think what we're doing may be unusual. It may be unusual, and it may not fit exactly what people have done before. I certainly have no experience before the Public Service Commission. You know, I've experience in district courts around here and some appeal courts, but not with Public Service Commission work. And that's an area like environmental law that is a lot of administrative hearings and a lot of experts who are involved in it. Some of this stuff gets very expensive, but it's really a specialized area of law. So, you know, I'm like the general practitioner. I hope I can give you good advice to start with, but don't let me do your brain surgery. This is getting more like brain surgery. So that's my suggestion. I wholeheartedly support this. I think it's a great idea. We can send that on. And then another point would be to talk to this Carrie Turnalon about how we would get involved in the actual administrative process of the Public Service Commission. And then the third thing, which I think you're well aware of, is public service commissioners are elected. And they have certain powers and certain responsibilities that they may be willing to exercise if they are pushed to do so. So that's another alternative. Because you know, as you folks know, what makes the phone ring makes the elected official move.
Right.
So that's another avenue. So it's possible for us to file certain things. It's also possible for the Public Service Commission to make certain demands. But we need to know more about this.
Agreed.
Because it's an entirely different world. But there's certainly nothing wrong, and no problem with tonight's resolution. That's not the point. I just want to tell you that 2 weeks ago, the mayor and I were talking about how do we get help with this.
Thank
Okay.
you. You got a comment?
Yeah, I did a little research on the Public Service Commission just briefly, and I found that there was really no successful attempts to lower the rate through the Public Service Commission. Is that correct? With Karen White, can you say that or no?
I'm not aware
Of any that I
of,
could see?
I'm not aware of that, but I don't have enough experience to know. But I think this Carrie person would know.
Right.
Because, and a lot of her practice is representing industrial users. And the industrial users have money at stake, big time, in their electric bills, you know, because they
Right.
use tremendous amounts of electricity. So she has experience with CLECO issues, not on the CLECO side, but I don't know how much experience she has with consumer stuff, but, you know, if she's done this 12, 13 years, she sees the docket, she knows what goes on, she's gonna know what other people are doing. So I think you're right, but I can't close that door.
That's fine. No, I think
I
it's a good
can't
idea
close
to
that door.
listen to her.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
You know, I can see an argument that CLECO's rates are based on numbers and on information that is not correct. That certainly would be a basis to move forward. But, you know, we're gonna have to know more about it. And some of the information gathering here gets very expensive, and information understanding gets very expensive, because it's always difficult to argue against someone when they have all the information to start with and all the technical expertise. So that's why I was thinking maybe LMA would know, maybe this attorney would know, because she's been in that situation before. So that's my suggestion. So, and this is my understanding is that the franchise issue is really separate from the rate issue. So as much as we've talked about those two at the same time, they're really separate issues.
She said the same thing on our call.
Yeah, and the PSC does not get involved in franchise issues.
And I think we understand
Yes, ma'am.
that.
Oh, wait, Rick, were you finished?
Yes,
Oh,
I
I'm
am.
sorry.
Okay, yeah, just.
I think we understand that they're two separate issues. It's just that they're related, and they're affecting the same group of constituents, so that's probably why they kept coming up during our conversations. But we recognize the fact that the franchise agreement is a separate issue from the rate increases. We just feel like as a council, we need to attack both in order to protect our constituents.
I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree. We do need more information. And right now, we should be,
basically talking to people who have had the experience, like you said. I'll be very happy to talk to her and all. But we can't start off again with the attitude that it never happened before, so it's not gonna happen now. So you start off with that belief, you'll wind up where you always were. You know, if you keep on doing the same thing over and over again. So we're gonna be positive, think positive about it, and do what we have to do in order to, you know, try to get some resolve for our constituents. And that's what it's about. Win, lose, or draw, you know, we're gonna fight that fight.
Because historically, if it wasn't done, doesn't mean that in the future, it won't be done. Maybe the New Iberia is gonna lead the way for other municipalities. And it's about time we stop these large corporations from just doing whatever they want to the people that we represent. And if we don't represent them in that way, no one will. So it's our job to make sure that we're doing the very best we can for them.
Anybody else? Okay, now the motion that's on the floor is for it to be a unanimous, we never voted on it, for it to be a unanimous,
Motion.
motion.
With a second.
Wait a second.
Yeah, with a second. So, vote your machines. We never did one like this, but we're doing a lot of things we never did. Thank y'all very much. Good move, Marla. Thank you. Councilman Lewis. Where are we?
Excuse me, Fred?
Yes, sir.
And the reason that Marlo did that, because when you send a resolution to CLECO, you put it was approved unanimously, council.
Yeah, that's a good thing. All right, 6B.
Resolution number 23-17, authorizing the mayor to execute a preventative maintenance agreement with Calcasieu Mechanical Contractors Incorporated for the City Hall HVAC system.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilwoman
Second.
Dee Johnson-Reed, and a second by Councilwoman Deidre Ledbetter. Is there any discussion?
So are they located in Lake Charles?
They work, Jimmy, where, they all over the state, I mean. They have a Lafayette office. Yeah, they have an office in Lafayette, they're big contractors. And we put all new equipment in, and we realized that our equipment can last a whole lot longer
If you have a
if we
maintenance
do a
contract.
maintenance contract.
Right. Yeah, that Cleco?
And Jimmy was doing things, himself, and will continue to do some things himself. But now that we got all brand-new equipment, bigger equipment, more equipment, I really do think this is a wise idea.
This agreement is for the chiller and the boiler,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
If everything goes good with this, probably in the 2 years or 23 months, whatever it is, I might look at adding the air handlers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't this time because we wanted to kind of get some
I wanna
service.
see
and
how it's gonna
see how it
work.
goes.
Yeah, this is a good idea.
The air handlers are all new, so I figured we got a couple of years. We
Got
can,
some warranty on it, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, as a team, we have spent a lot of money on this building
Yeah.
because we've replaced all the electrical panels and we've replaced all the mechanical systems, all the air conditioning systems, just about.
yeah, no, that's it. The only thing we
Makes
didn't
sense to have a
change
maintenance
was the
contract.
ductwork.
Yeah, and we cleaned the ductwork
We
and we
cleaned.
replaced the roof. I mean, we put this building through the ringer. So anything we can do to keep it going, I really think we need to.
Good idea.
Any other comments or questions? Then I'd ask you, please vote your machines. Thank you. 7A.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-12, amendment number 11, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect costs pursuant to the revised rabies control contract and setting for public hearing on March 7th, 2023.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Dee Johnson-Reed and a second, I think by Councilman Marlon Lewis.
You
He
got it.
beat you to the punch.
That's fine.
Is there any discussion on this item?
So this is the additional funds that we need to allocate for,
Yes, through our Zoom call and negotiations with the parish to give us a 2-year contract. Yes, sir.
And it's called a rabies control
Yeah,
agreement.
but it's really animal control.
It's really animal control, animal shelter, rabies control. The parish calls it rabies control, so things got, on the emails, that was the subject line, so that's
Right.
I'm
kind
gonna
of the
hire
label it
somebody from the
got.
parish.
But it's more than rabies
That's what
control.
it's called.
okay,
But the text of it is right there, yeah.
okay.
Any other discussion?
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
And Jeff, we're still under the assumption that this parish is working on a new facility to come up for discussion at a later date. That's what was in the meeting? Am I correct with that statement? I knew that.
Well, I mean, there was,
It
I
was
was-
discussed.
I was present for the talk.
Okay,
All right, that's all I can say. I don't know what people intend,
all right, thank you.
right?
Yeah, I was there too. I don't know.
Hey, so could I be included in any of those meetings in the future, if there are any more? Because, I mean, I'm concerned as to where things are going with that facility and how we keep dumping money there. And we're not sure what's gonna happen next. Are we gonna be kicked out again? Are we gonna be asked to cough up more money? You know, that sort of thing. I just wanna be informed, that's all.
Sure, sure.
Thank
I mean, I can't have more than 3, you know, but
Okay.
if you want to come, that's great. I mean,
Yep.
I'll take
could
all the help.
probably
I'd like
fit
to
a
be
few more
involved as
chairs
well,
in
because
the
I got a
room.
lot of those problems in my district.
Okay, well, like I said, I can't let everybody be involved. We might have to take turns, because I'm sure we're going to have more discussions. It ain't like we're going to settle it in one
No,
pass, but that's good. I'm glad to know that, you know, you'll have an interest.
Oh, yeah.
We are getting a warden though, correct?
Well,
He's not gonna be ours.
when we get to
No, no,
that has
we.
changed. Well, that has changed. You remember
We're
in
getting the services.
in the Zoom call, we were getting someone for this new money dedicated just to the city. Because we even had a discussion about how they'll learn the police department, they'll learn our neighborhoods, they'll work really well together. When we get down to the other item related to this, they've backed off of that. we getting a person, but they won't commit that it's a person just for the city. So that has changed from I was at the same Zoom call y'all were. That's changed from our Zoom call.
okay. I have some questions about that.
Yeah, but we'll have those, I guess,
Sure,
when we
that's
get to
fine.
that
Next
part of it. Okay, any other discussion on this, the ordinance part, the budget amendment?
And this is for the 2-year?
Yes, this is for 24 months.
Right, okay.
Yes. Anything further?
Nope.
Then please vote your machines. And then we'll discuss this further when we get down to the item down the road. 7B.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-13, amendment number 12, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect receipt and utilization of electrical signing bonus for citywide crime camera system and setting for public hearing on March 7th, 2023.
Well, we need to get this off of our agenda and just kill it so let's just strike it because we didn't succeed with the agreement.
I make a motion to delete.
Well,
Second.
What, Jeff?
okay, you could do that, yeah.
Okay. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas with a second
And-
by Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte
Okay, and
to
so,
delete.
yeah, and so are we gonna also tell them that you vetoed? I mean, just for the
That
public
comes-
people that didn't see the paper.
Didn't have time to put it on the agenda this time because I didn't veto it till Monday.
Okay.
Because Tuesday was a holiday. So what'll happen at the next council meeting, plus everybody needs to be here because 4 people voted for it, 3 people voted against it. So at the next council meeting, then we'll have a discussion and put it on the agenda because someone could override. It takes 5 votes to override the veto. Not that we would want to. But I'll just tell you that we got very close, but one issue, we didn't get to exactly what the council voted for. My way I operate, the way you have to operate, what the council votes on and the majority vote is the law. That's what I do. That's my job. We got very close, but on one item, we didn't get there, so I had no choice but to veto it. Did your hand up? Yes, sir.
And we really have no choice but to put the override on the next
Right,
agenda.
right.
Couldn't put it on this one, but the charter says whenever there's a veto, the override goes on the next agenda.
Okay.
So, it will go on the next agenda.
Yes.
Please don't override it.
Yeah, no, because then we'd be back right to the original deal that we got nothing that we negotiated. You know, we made some strides and I thought we were getting there, but again, if it doesn't match exactly with what the majority votes on, I'm not gonna do it. I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
So,
And if y'all have questions about all the ins and outs in that, we can talk about, I'd be glad to talk to you about it. Sure the mayor would too.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So back to what we're talking about this. Oh, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. I
Oh.
didn't realize you had something. I didn't see your hand.
No, I just wanted to say, thank you, Mayor, for vetoing the agreement. That was a suggestion of mine that we talked about. If you did not get what was discussed in writing, and you kept your word about that, so.
It's how we operate. We can't if we don't have that, if we don't have the integrity in how we operate, we don't have anything.
Yeah.
Did I push for it? Did I want it? Oh, yes, I did. Would I have signed it in a heartbeat?
I know.
But I didn't get what we needed. It wasn't up to what a majority said yes to. You know, I
That's
mean,
what it came down to.
that's what it came down to. So, is what it is. All right, so, any other discussion, or do we vote to strike this?
Well, you got a motion and a delete.
I have a motion and a second to delete.
That's correct.
Right, so if
And
there's,
that- and just a-
Yeah.
and that, we're deleting crime cameras, so we get no crime cameras for our city currently.
no,
Okay.
just to make sure if everybody understands that, we don't get any crime cameras, CLECO doesn't do any patrols, we don't swap any lights with LEDs. That's all part of what we were working on. Now it goes away and we start over.
Start again.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? Then please vote your machines. Thank you very much. 7C.
Ordinance number 2023-06, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an intergovernmental contract by and between the Department of Environmental Quality of the State of Louisiana and the City of New Iberia related to the City of New Iberia EVSE AW settlement, electric vehicles charge station project, and setting for public hearing on March 7th, 2023.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I don't know who beat who, I'm sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Councilman Marlon Lewis and I guess Councilwoman Deidre Ledbetter, or she came into the, yes. I think that's good.
I heard one woman's voice.
Oh, you did? I thought I heard two.
It was two.
Sorry.
You gotta pick one.
But yeah, I picked one. Do we have any discussion on that? I'm telling you, do we have any discussion on this item?
No, this is great. I just can't wait till we get them in Bowie
They
Plaza.
have taken a long time, and these are the first two that they asked, CLECO asked when we got this money, that it would be by as close to the highway as it could. I do plan on after these, and this was a little bit of an ordeal, it's taken a while, but I do plan in the future to try to find another grant or some where we could get a couple, downtown.
Yeah.
So, any other discussion? Then please vote your machines. Thank you very much. 7D.
Ordinance number 2023-07, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between the City of New Iberia and Metro Hospitality LLC related to the electrical vehicles charge station project and setting for public hearing on March 7th, 2023.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman T. Johnson Reed, and a second, Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Any discussion, which is the same item kind of, but any discussion?
This is just putting in the Hampton Inn,
We
correct?
have a
Yes.
contract with the state,
Yes,
and then we have a contract with the landowner,
right.
and the Hampton is the landowner. And I think it's pretty cool that they're just letting us use part of the parking
Yeah,
lot.
because
Right.
where we were putting them, we found out we had to do paving, we had to do all kind of other things that weren't free that he's willing to do, so.
Right. We have to maintain it, correct?
Yes, we do, we
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Then please vote your machine. Thank you. Okay, 7E.
Ordinance number 2023-08, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between the City of New Iberia and Iberia Parish Government related to rabies control services within the city limits of New Iberia and setting for public hearing on March 7th, 2023.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Councilwoman D. Johnson Reed, and a second, Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, so,
Yes, ma'am.
this is the cooperative endeavor agreement between the city and the parish about this whole
Right.
dog situation. Okay, so one thing that I wasn't clear on when I was reading through this is who decides, well, let me back up. We get 15 kennels, correct? For dogs and
15
5
dog
for
kennels and 5 cat kennels. Yes,
cats.
ma'am.
Okay. What happens when we get, that's 20, 21, or we get 16 dogs? Who
They full.
decides
What's
on?
happening to us already, because, and that's one of the things that Councilwoman Marcotte is referring to. Last week alone, we had 2 dog calls, and we were told on both of those, I documented 2 last week, and that happens often. Oh, y'all are full. So they don't go pick them up.
So,
So we don't decide anything. We pay them for those spots. They run the shelter. When the spots are full, they're gonna tell us they're full. So when we have 15 dogs there, they're gonna say they're full. And
So-
to get a dog out, it's either adopted, they are registered as a no-kill shelter, which means they can kill up to 10% and still be a no-kill shelter. That's the way it works, because they realize some dogs are sick, some dogs will never get adopted, Some of them have some personality disorders, and I mean, they have to be put down. So that's how it is. But they are running the dog shelter. We have a
They make the
contract with them.
decision.
They make the decision.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out.
I understand. 'Cause
Are
it's
they
been a
gonna be
little
calling
frustrating.
us, asking us, okay, we got 15 dogs, you wanna get rid of 10% of them?
Well, it's the 10% is for the whole shelter, and so I don't know if that would work out evenly.
I
but,
know, I'm just
you
saying, if they said, okay, they're not, do you wanna get rid
We
of
left
10% so
it-
we can give you some more space?
Right. They run it, and the way it is, I mean, we had a big discussion to get to this point. The way it is, we are just paying,
For the
we're
service.
coin operated, like Jeff always says. We're paying per dog, per spot, and they run it.
Okay, just trying to see
Yeah, I
how
understand.
that's
I
gonna work,
understand.
cause
Well,
clearly.
just like
we
it's
got
not working
50 running
now.
around here.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, I went to the West End twice today. I went to the park once, and I had to go to Park Elementary to meet a contractor over there to look at something. And it's the same 4 dogs I see all the time. It's the same 2 that when you and I were picking up trash, those
Yep.
same kind of hound look, 'cause I like those hounds. Same kind of hound looking dogs. They were both there. I waved at them. I went a little further. There's a little brown dog I see all the time. I called. I mean, they
Okay,
that's where we are. Yes.
In reality, what they do is say, call your council person.
Yeah, that's something new that they're doing. They weren't doing that at first, and now what happens, because my office gets calls constantly, and we track them, like we track everything, and that's the new thing is that they say, we'll call you city councilman. So we have a contract with them, and we're gonna have a better contract than what we have now. At least it has 15 dog spots and 5 cat spots that we don't have. It's more expensive. And we have someone in the city now, not assigned just to the city, but we will have someone in the city. They haven't hired that person yet, and we're not gonna start paying for that person until they do hire them,
right.
which is a valid point that we had brought up in one of our discussions.
That's Ricky's point.
Yeah, it was Ricky's point at the Zoom call too. He says, I'm not gonna pay for an employee that's invisible that we don't have. So when they hire an employee, so we have more with this agreement than we've had before. But
So, I'm sorry, I guess I don't, and this is just probably me, because I have such an issue in my district, but I don't see how this solves our problem.
Well, I don't think this solves, I'll look clearly, okay? I don't think it solves anybody's problem. They have a dog shelter that is in major need of repair. That's a parish thing. They take money from the health tax, the old people call it the rabies tax. They take money from the city from that and allocate it over there. They don't give us any credit for that, but they do. So they take a few $100,000 of our money, of the city's tax dollars that citizens pay toward it. They have their own budget toward it. But we talked about that. They're not fixing anything. So they still have a crumbling facility. They just gave us more room in the crumbling facility. So does it help us? Yes. Does it fix anybody's problem? It doesn't fix anybody's problem. They get more money, but it
So
doesn't
this-
fix anybody's problem for now.
Okay, so this is a 2-year agreement, so as a council, we need to be coming up with a plan, so that when this ends, we have some way to solve this problem for the city, because this is such a major issue.
Yeah, well, I know that.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Okay, I'm just putting it on the table, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
we'll be
but
working on a plan.
We put it on the table, if you remember, a few weeks ago, and we got some low-income money coming that we might use for, what did y'all help me with a while back? Well, two or three meetings ago.
Right, I remember.
We borrowed 2.5 million that we might use on sewer
Low interest.
at very low interest, 2.5 million, or we might have to build a dog shelter. And I don't know what's gonna happen, but you're right, we're gonna keep working on it. I'm in the process of pricing some stuff out right now, and working on it. I hope that the parish on their own is doing something on their end, because you're right, 2 years are gonna go by fast, and they're not gonna be any better in a situation unless they do something, and neither are we. So I know it's coming. This is what I would call at best a stopgap measure. It's a little bit better than it was before. It's not great. We have to do something, and you can't sub it out. Okay, I already went everywhere. I already called other parishes because I could ship them. They take our dogs, which is amazing because up north people have much more stringent dog requirements. So a lot of our dogs end up north being flown up there to be adopted. Okay, which is a good day for one of those dogs. So I thought, all right, maybe I can do that. I called other parishes. Hey, you want my money? I could probably make a cheaper deal. I'll send them to St. Mary or St. Martin or wherever. I don't care. We'll put them on a bus, put them in a truck. That didn't work, okay? I went to private shelters. Hey, y'all always scrapping for money. How many kennels can you give me? The problem is in South Louisiana, we have a huge dog problem. We have a lot of issues that we don't make too high on the list around the country, and dogs are one of them. We have a big issue, and so does every other parish. So they're all overloaded. They were like, put your money up. We're not gonna, I don't care what you pay us, because they can't take them. So our problem is a regional problem that there's no room at the end. I mean, all of those shelters are full. So for Iberia Parish, we will have to concentrate on, what we do. Believe me, I know.
You have the floor.
Sir.
So, Didi, and I want to echo your thoughts, because I was in the meeting and I totally agree with you. We really didn't solve, all they got was more money, and when
We got a few more kennels, and some cat kennels we didn't have.
they presented us with all the problems, and the major problem was employees, and they basically got one more employee, so I was baffled that we got 2 more years, and I'm happy for it, but I do think that moving forward, like I mentioned to Jeff, that they assured us that, Mr. Richard assured us that he was gonna work on a plan for a new facility and bring us the plan and let us know how, what we can do to contribute to that moving forward. Freddie said we'll definitely be open-minded and listen to that. Am I right with that?
Yeah.
So-
Well, my view is I'm willing to listen.
That's what I said.
I'm not willing to pay. If I get to the threshold, okay, that I can control, it's the same thing with law enforcement. We had a contract with the sheriff's department. It kept going up. It kept going up. We were not in control of our own destiny. And we just kept throwing more money at it till it would have broken us.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting the service. So when we have that discussion, am I willing to, and it's only if the council supports it, I mean, we win this together. If everybody supports it, am I willing to put some money up to help? Yes. Am I willing to pay for too much of their show? No. Will I get to a tipping point that I say, well, if we're going to spend that much money, we might as well have our own and run it ourselves? And we could come to that. If we can work something out and it's a fair and equitable deal for all of us, I'm in. If y'all are. But I want to know the other option, and you bet I'm going to flesh out the other option of what it would take to do it ourselves. And then we'll do a comparison. If it's way more manpower, way more liability, way more hassles, and a whole lot more money, well, we might not want to. If the money issue is not that different, we know if we run something, there's not any one of y'all up here that if we do something, it's going to be done right, and it's going to be done, with heart. I know that because I know every one of y'all. So we'll get to a decision of, run it right, it costs this much, and we take full responsibility, or partner, and, here's where we at here. I can't give you that answer because I don't know the options yet.
Okay.
I mean, and I do think, though, that, I think, and I did mention it to Freddie and Jeff, that, their election's coming up in 2 years, and so they're going to start doing some things. I really don't think we're going to move off that center in 2 years. I think in 2 years, exactly what you said, we're going to be looking at the same situation. I do anticipate problems with us calling for dog pickup, and it's 15 kennels full. I do fully anticipate
We're
that.
having that now. We only got.
So, like I said, you get ready, because now this is new, that call your council member to pick up the dog, because they won't pick it up unless the council member calls, is what I'm being told.
Well,
and so,
and we can't, my office is the central, my office is y'all office.
Yeah.
That makes no sense that,
it doesn't. But I do think, as a council, and Freddie agreed some part with this, but I do think as a council being proactive, that we ought to at least entertain a discussion in spade and neuter laws, and maybe forcing our hand and being a leader in that respect, and contingency on the part of the parish passing one to identical to ours. That may future development of pet population may solve in 2 years, may have an impact on what we need to do. I think that would be a valid discussion to have in the near future.
And I'm willing, if the parish does, I'm willing to have that discussion and to pass that, but I'm only willing to enact that if the parish does it too. It makes no sense because, most of those coy dogs and, I had another coyote in my yard that swam across the bayou, but most of those dogs that come from, they walk up the railroad track that runs parallel to Jane Street by the old sugar mill. I can go track them and show you. A lot of those dogs are coming from the parish. So it makes no sense that we would do a spade and neuter law here and make our citizens have to go through doing that and everything. We don't do it in the parish too. But that I agree with
I'm
open to that as well. Yes, ma'am.
That was gonna be my comments, that we definitely need to do a spay-neuter law in the city, and, the parish needs to jump on board as well, but, you know, we could be the leaders in that and start it off first, and then hopefully it'll make it easier on them to join.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, we could, if we would choose to do that, we need to educate ourselves on it like we do on everything. But if we
Right.
choose to do it, if we pass it, we just make it contingent upon them passing it.
Right.
We'll enact it when you enact it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it needs to
Need
happen.
something.
Because you're gonna have some people who don't want that. I mean, you wouldn't think so, but you're gonna have some people who are gonna say, you know, I don't wanna do that. Well, like everything, I mean, we have that with everything, but, you know.
Well,
just
maybe
be
it'll
prepared
stop
for it.
people from getting animals that they can't afford to take care of, or get them spayed and neutered, because it's out of control. They just let their
Yes.
dogs have puppies over and over again.
It is.
I now have an extra dog in my house because, you know, I'm the sucker that went, the council person, to someone's house and grabbed the stray dog, and
I saw it on Facebook, it's
he
kinda cute.
lives with
now.
us now. He is so
Kinda
cute. But it's a dog
I'm
I
not
was
doing
not
that.
planning on getting, but I have it now. So, hopefully none of y'all get those calls, but I definitely received a call so far.
Well, you wouldn't pull the dog out from under a house.
Well, thankfully there was a child that was familiar with the dog, and so
That's
he was
kinda-
able to hand him over. So I
kinda
wasn't
over and
crawling
above,
under
you
a
know?
house. Oh, no. But, something's gotta change, no doubt.
I agree. And like I said, I am on, myself, we all on notice that we have 24 months and we will have to continue to, you know, talk about this and come
Right.
up with some backup plans.
But for now, we need this.
Yeah, yeah, but this is the first step. This is the stopgap and then
For
we'll
now.
start exploring.
Do we require, dog owners to have like a collar on the dog so we know the dog's own?
I don't know.
We have a leash law, so you gotta attach the leash to something. No, I'm not trying to be, sometimes I
guess
am, but I'm not trying to be a
technically-
smart ass.
I don't know if they have a collar.
You got, I don't know if it's a collar, I mean, you can do a choke collar, but I mean, you gotta have something to attach the leash to.
I only ask because there's a lot of times
Oh,
these
look.
dogs run around,
Oh,
there's
no,
no
they have
collar on
nothing.
them. You
No.
don't know if they belong to somebody or not.
No, I agree.
And,
I'll look into that, but I don't know if we specify that. I'm not sure.
okay.
I have a runner. He's labeled with my name and number and address, and, he's also neutered. So, I mean, he's not reproducing out there, but
Yeah.
just one of those hard-headed
My two
dogs
dogs
that
have chips in their
will
ear.
find a way to get out.
And fun.
Yeah.
But at least anyone who finds him knows where he goes, you know, bring him back to
Can bring
Brooks'
him home.
house.
Yeah.
Right, right.
We love him.
Any other discussion on this item? Hearing and seeing none, please vote your machines. All right, 8A.
Kevin Zarang to present budget to actual reports for November 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022, and November 1st, 2022 to January 31st, 2023.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening. Whoa. Oh my good.
It's not COVID.
I knew that was coming.
So tonight, we're presenting 2 months of budget to actual.
Yeah.
The first one is I was out of town at a conference, and then the second one is to try to get us caught up and for us to keep up to date. Proposing that we just field questions on the first one. If you have questions, we can go over it.
You
or
talking about
if
the
you'd
2
like it-
months?
Ma'am?
The 2 months?
There's one that you have that is November through December.
Right,
and
that's 2
another
months, and then you have one for
that
3 months.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can we just go to the 3 months? Do we have to do the 2 month?
Yeah, I think if there's nothing out of line on the 2 month, we could just
I
go
mean,
to
it's
the
almost the
3
same thing that's
Catch it
out of
up.
line on the 3
Yeah.
months.
I was just
Yeah.
presenting it to you.
Yeah, just to save time.
Okay, everybody's okay with going to the 3 months? 'Cause it's the same thing. Okay, go to the 3 months, Kevin. Now you can talk twice as long.
All right. So we're doing 3 months. After 3 months, we should be at 25% of our budget. General fund, we had budgeted 23.2 million in revenue. We're at 6.2, which puts us at 26.5% of the budget. Expenses, 30.9. We are at 6.3, putting us at 20.49% of our expenses on the general fund.
So any reason why well, I'm assuming planning and zoning is because they've been doing some work with grants and stuff like that, and
Planning
doing
and
some work.
zoning, I adjust the budget. The biggest part of planning and zoning's budget is the grants.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that we get equally each month. At the same time, it's not what we expense.
No, I was looking at expenditures, not the revenue. Just the, it's a little higher, it's at 28%.
That's because the projects are not done equally each month.
Okay, I'm just checking.
So there will be periods where we will be below the percentage, and there will be months where we'll be over the percentage.
That's cool.
Overall, we're at 20.49 for the general fund.
Police department, fire department, a little below 25%. Do we know why?
You talking about on
Revenue,
or
revenue.
expenses?
On revenue. Sorry.
The police department is all fines
And traffic fines
And
is
traffic,
biggest.
yeah.
And
Okay.
that just depends on how we're doing on that one.
yeah, and we just got a new someone assigned to traffic,
But
Okay.
I mean,
another person, so that
That
actually
should
should
change.
pick up a
Yeah.
little bit.
The
Okay.
police department is at 24.04, which to me is within the margin of it.
Yeah. I'm just asking because it's below.
Fire department's at 23.41, and part of that is because some of their revenue, we don't get it equally each month, and that's the insurance rebate.
Okay.
That just comes in one big check.
Okay.
Parks and Recreation Funds, 1.6 million revenue. We're actually at 848, which puts us at 52.87. And that, same as all the previous explanation, they were receiving ad valorem taxes, and we accrue for it all at the beginning of the
Okay.
fiscal year. Their expenses are at 1.6, budgeted, actual is 280,000, which is 17.45. And the explanation on this one is similar to the others. They have capital improvements that we haven't spent.
Okay.
We're waiting for those projects to get done. Public Works Fund, budget revenue of 3.6, actual is 1.4, putting us at 39.2. Same explanation as the Parks and Recs, ad valorem revenue.
Okay.
Expenses, 3.5, actual is 616, putting them at 17.57. They had capital outlay, equipment purchases that we're still trying to get the bids for.
And some were just trying to get delivered.
Sales tax fund, budgeted revenue, 10.8, actual is 2.7, is putting us at 24.88%. Expenditures, 17.5, actuals of 4.4, putting us at 24.96. Public safety fund, which is also a tax, 4.1 million, actuals is 1.03, putting us at 24.87. Expenses, 4.1, actuals, 1.035, putting us at 24.95. Garbage fund, 4.2, revenue, 919,000 actuals, putting us at 22.16.
So the reason why that one's so low? Is it the
It's
same?
sales tax.
The sales tax?
Yeah, sales tax collections. That's the only source of revenue they have. Garbage expenses, 4.2, actual is 1.04, putting them at 25.08. Section 8 vouchers, 1.4 revenue, 410,000 actuals, putting them at 29.03. On revenue, expenses of 1.4, actuals of 390, putting them at 27.46.
Okay.
And then wastewater, 10.1, actual is 2.2, putting them at 21.45 of their revenue. And expenses is 5.6, actuals is 1.1, putting them at 20.05% of their expenses.
So Kevin, you know,
Yes, sir.
I'm encouraged that, you know, overall, our revenue's up slightly, but some are down, but our expenses are down an average of 5% overall, projected at 25%, which is know that, you know, we're being diligent on our budget and watching what we're doing, and kudos to that. But one question, our TIF tax is not listed on here. Is there any reason, I knew we were supposed to create a new line item for that. Why is it in-
Actually, the way I'm reporting it, it's in the sales tax fund.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's the Economic Development District as well?
That includes the Highway 14, the Highway 182, And the EDD, the third, the
Right.
Number three.
economic development, number 3 is not in there.
It's not in there, okay.
Could we get it broken down maybe?
I didn't
in
think
the
it
future?
was, but,
Yes, we may.
yeah.
I mean,
I don't
I'm
see why not.
asking,
Yeah,
I'm
sure,
asking.
sure. Yeah, I didn't think the EDD money was in there too. Okay.
I have the numbers. I
Can you give it to us?
right now.
Sure.
The Highway 14 budgeted 380,000. We're at 83,000, putting us at 21.96% of the revenue.
Good.
Expenses, 511,000. Actual is 126, putting them at 24.6%.
He's right, the same.
182.
Yeah.
182, revenue, 24, budget, actuals, 7.3, putting them at 30.23%. Now, what I've experienced and what I've seen is a lot of times a vendor will report it and then later on find out that they were not supposed to. So even though it's high, in later months we might see it go down because it's still, to some of the vendors, it's still a new tax. Expenses, 213, actual is 43, putting it at $20, 20%. And that is collection fees, is the expense. The EDD, that number is, looking at that, it does not look, it looks like something is wrong with that number. And what is going on, what is going on is we broke up the numbers and the way they were grouped. Some of my funds had inadvertently gotten combined, and that included the Economic Development District and Pepperplex's numbers.
Well, when you come back to us next time, I'd like to, I don't want you to guess right now.
Yeah,
I'd
don't
like
guess.
to- I'd like to have it, broken apart next time.
Yes, sir?
Good. Ricky won't.
I mean, I'm
So-
just asking.
No, we should. I
I
mean,
mean,
it's,
because when we discussed it, we said we'd have a different
I know.
line item and.
yeah,
I
and we
just-
do. We should.
So, Kevin, one more question. Sales tax compared to 2022 versus the 3-month period where we had in 2023.
We are a little down. When
Not
we were
significant.
expecting a growth, if you hold on, I can get that for you real quick.
So we also talked about breaking out the line items for Parks and Rec for each park. So
That's
we can
actually
see-
more cumbersome. It's turning out to be a lot more cumbersome than actuals. And also, the auditors made a comment that we were now using organizations that we were not using before. And it's making their audit to go it's a little harder for them and it's taking them more time.
Yeah, I'm not saying we won't be able to do it, but it's way more involved than we thought. I thought it
Okay.
would have been easy, but it's not as easy as we thought because we've never broken that apart before. We've run it all, one big lump sum Parks and Recs. I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice to know, but
Because it would be nice to know.
Well, also, a lot of the parks expenses are overhead that applies to all the parks. So you can't put a true picture
Yeah.
on how one park is doing over another. So the majority of your expenses are going to hit either West End or City Park.
even though they go to all the other parks, and that's something we're finding too, that, like Bank Park doesn't have a lot of charges against it, stuff comes from the other parks. All our little small parks, like if you think about Little Brooklyn and the little First Street Park, and, I could go on and on. Park in Mr. Broussard's district, your park, Santiago, Mayor
But even if
Day,
we don't
whatever.
track expenses that way, it would be nice to know the revenue that's coming in to each park.
And
Or
that
at least to the two their community centers.
Yeah, that wouldn't be as difficult.
Well,
I
actually,
was trying to break everything apart and,
Yeah. No, I know, because we talked about
actually
that.
it is, it's also, it's a little misleading because, say, for instance, the registrations for basketball, it will show all at City Park, but actually that also includes, events
are
that are
gonna play
taking
at
place
West
at
End.
West End because it's all going through one system
Okay,
for their appointments and scheduling. So
okay,
it's really hard to get a true picture of any one particular park at this
okay.
point.
That's fine.
So The, in comparison to last year for the, what I'm gonna call the 1960 tax, we're up 1.2% from last year. The public safety tax, we're up 1.23. The EDD tax, since it wasn't a full year, it's kind of hard to give you, it's not true, but we're currently in the EDD, we have received 200 and, oh, that's the variance, I'm sorry. The variances were actually higher than we were last year. Highway 14, as I had mentioned earlier, we find out that some of the vendors were reporting them in the wrong section. How many of y'all have done a sales tax return? So you have to say, well,
Yeah, I
my
know.
columns 1, 2, 3,
Right.
4, 5. So EDD is actually down 12%.
Okay.
Because vendors that come back and it's showing, even though it was for prime month's tax returns, all the money that's being refunded is being shown in that 1 month.
Okay.
And then, I'm sorry, the 182 was up 46%.
Yeah, we had a business open. We didn't have hardly any businesses in that.
And then
It's easy
EDD
to be
number,
up, it's still very low, but we didn't have anything.
EDD number 3, which is the one that we have for the Pepperplex,
Yeah.
it currently has collected $202,000 in 3 months. And I can't give you a percentage over last year because there was no last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
looking
are
at.
we able to even, so I guess you're telling me that we can't even break out the revenue and expenses for the Pepperplex?
It's very difficult to do because of the way it's received.
200.
Okay, it's just that it's gonna make it difficult for us to figure out whether or not it's being successful. But, okay. I mean, we borrowed money, so it's like, just would like to be able to see.
Yeah, and I look every month to make sure that so far, I split the money when we did a budget. We split it between paying the bond and the rest of it. We knew we wouldn't cover all of the overhead, but what we would cover.
Right.
So what I look at immediately is what did I pay my bond I'll be able to look at that
Right.
and at least see, are we where we thought we would be when we started the discussion?
Well,
So
see,
we'll be able to tell that.
Pepperplex is reported separately.
Yeah, so we'll be
just
able
the
to, we'll be able to
the
track
remainder of
that.
Parks and
Because I gotta know
Recreation.
that. I can't keep
Right.
moving if I don't know that.
So that's what, but you just said you couldn't break it out, so
No,
can
ma'am.
you,
I'm sorry, let me be, we have Parks and Recreation, which is one fund.
agreed? I
But
understand
then
that.
we have Pepperplex, who is independent of the remainder, Parks and Rec. It is a separate fund and a separate organization. So I can give you numbers for West End and City Park and the little pocket parks as one number. And then Pepperplex is on its own, and I can give you that number.
So,
Yeah, Pepperplex should actually be easier to track than the rest of them because it's all coming out of the EDD fund.
right, except for the
Well,
fact
except for
that
the part that
the
we,
expenses,
yeah, but
because
we have a
expenses-
budget on that.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll be able to get there. We have a budget book that, Richard's in the back. We have a budget book that Richard has his totals in, and we'll track that all along the year. And then I'm gonna know what my bond cost is, and then at the end of the year, I'm gonna take the total we collected, and I must track that out, and I'm gonna know how much money we contributed to that, and then I'll be able to see if we are on track that we are at least holding our own. That won't be
Right.
that different.
the only thing that, and it's not gonna be that much of a big deal, because the percentage shouldn't be that high, but the only issue with that is that if you're using Parks and Rec, people to do work there, and you're not tracking it that way, then you can't really say that you have a true picture of the expenses.
Correct. But we're not using Parks and Rec people there, for the most part. If Heather does a program there, then you're right, I'll have to see
Or
what she
any
would do
maintenance kind of things
that
there.
program. Yeah, well, we are hoping that that Richard is gonna hire his 2 people. We're still in the construction, so there's no reason to hire them yet.
Right.
But we are hoping that Richard and his staff will handle all the maintenance there.
Okay.
I really don't, I'm trying not to commingle that because that's not what,
Right, no,
I wanna be able to track it.
just want to understand how we're accounting
I
for it
understand.
on the books.
I can't say that, Richard's a pretty hands-on guy. I can't say that he didn't walk to the sewer plant and borrow a backhoe, but he did the work. I can't say that we haven't said, Joey, you're not using a piece of equipment tomorrow, drop it off. Those things happen at all the parks. But the labor portion of it is the people in that section. And we need to do more cross-using equipment because it's for all the taxpayers. So I have no problem if a backhoe or a dump truck or something that a person can get something done moves from department to
mean,
department.
I'm just,
But the
again,
labor, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't really try to cross-pollinate all of that, because then you don't have a true number of who did what.
exactly, just
Yeah.
trying to make sure that.
I
we can
understand.
I'm just,
Explain to the public where we are.
I
and I
understand.
just,
Because counting is important.
Yes, ma'am.
and I asked the question, and I'm just doing the math in my head at 203,000 per quarter, right under $1 million with the bond and maintenance. We should be in solid shape, looking, not knowing all the exact numbers.
Yes, sir, we had, we had budgeted or projected for the, this fiscal year to be about $1 million.
That's,
in fact.
that's what I typed in, that's what I think, yeah.
Yeah, so we're tracking right now.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, and sorry I misunderstood. See,
No,
when I
it's
say
okay.
Parks and Recs,
It's okay.
that totally
yeah.
excludes Pepperplex.
Okay.
And that makes sense, Dee Dee.
Yeah, it's just
They excluded,
No, I mean, I thought that's what we
Why-
decided. That's why I was asking the question.
That's why it has a.
You're right,
That's
that's
why
what
it
we
has a
talked about.
director.
That's
It's
what-
its own entity.
I know, but that's why I was asking the question because
I understand.
it didn't sound like that was what he was saying, so I'm gonna get clarification.
Yeah, because it wasn't. Cool, but thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
for
Pepperplex-
clarification.
Yeah, and
Yeah, there you
Pepperplex
go.
has a separate budget from the Parks and Rec.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Kevin.
Kevin.
You're welcome.
Okay, where are we? 9A.
Update on proposed closure of Deer Street Railroad crossing.
Okay. I included a letter from DOTD because we got something to talk about. And from BNSF, they say it will cost $400,000 to $500,000 to install the gates at Caroline. That's a rough estimate. And then they want to charge us $20,000 to $50,000 to take those arms and lights to close Deer. So I wasn't expecting this. In other words, you want $450,000. I thought we would take the arms and lights from one and just move it to the other. Well, they're saying no. They want to charge us $400,000 to $500,000 for a new set of arms, and then to add insult to injury, charge us between $20,000 and $50,000 to close the other.
So why can't we leave it open then?
Well, we have to close one. We still, I mean, they're not coming to do all the crossings. We have to, one of these have to go.
Okay.
And so I was not expecting this. I thought, remember we had a couple calls, we tried, we thought they would just swap one for the other. The council asked that I pursue that. So when I got this, Laney came talk to me and said, what is this? And I said, yeah, we don't have that kind of money in the budget or anything to do that. Let's put it on a council meeting and talk about it, because I was not expecting that. So I need to rebut, I need to go back, but this is holding up, they say, all the arms and lights, and that they're not coming till we decide if we want to come up with $400,000 to $500,000.
So,
Which is, not at all what I expected. I thought they were just gonna take them from one, put them at the other, and we were good.
so
I'm
they're making us
here to-
pay.
Yeah, they say
Are we
they
paying
have,
for any of the others?
no, because they say we're changing our mind. If we don't do this, okay, this is where they have us right now. If we don't do this and we say we're closing Caroline, they have the money. That's that same money that, Mr. Broussard got years ago, and, combination, he's not here tonight. I hated to bring it tonight. I actually called the man and said, you're gonna miss the meeting. That's always the issue. He said, go ahead and bring it. I said, good, because I want to respond. So if we follow the plan that DOTD has, we don't pay anything and they close Caroline. Because we want to change the plan, and had a conference call and had one with Sean Wilson, the director, really nice guy. Had a couple of other conversations with Mr. Shrewsbury. Well, now you're changing the plan, so you got to come up with the money. And I said, well, does the state have any money? No. Is there any more federal money we could go and get, which is where this money originated from? No. So when I got this, I was like, okay, I'm doing what I always do. I'm coming back to my council. Yes, ma'am.
So, did we talk to our, legislative delegation yet?
I have been making calls, and I told them, what I told them was I was bringing to my council meeting, and then I would get with them after, but, you know, they know I don't have $400,000 to $500,000.
Because this is,
I mean, this is their wheelhouse.
it's ridiculous. though.
Yes, ma'am.
It's
I didn't say it
another one
isn't.
of those,
It's forcing our hand.
That's why I came to y'all, and I don't act without coming to y'all, so
yeah,
we,
that makes no sense at all,
Well,
what they're talking about. And
it's here to
prior-
discuss to
prior
say
to
what-
this, prior to this, last time they were talking about it was only like $250,000.
Well, and I asked that question because I said, where does $400,000 to $500,000 come from? Because years ago, I know things have gone up, but you're right.
Not that
it
much.
was $250 across.
Yeah, it was.
I know, I remember that.
And the deal
like I said,
is
I
you
came to y'all
already
to say,
have
how you want me to
crossings at one street. All you need to do is move them over to the next street.
That's their call, and they're saying they don't want to do that.
Well, I
So-
guess that's another fight we're gonna have to have again,
Well, that's why I'm bringing it here.
Yes,
I mean, in other
indeed.
words, you know,
'cause that makes no sense. You know, because you don't wanna do what they had proposed.
Mm-hmm.
So we swapped out because they insisted that we have,
we had to close
yeah,
once.
insisting
Okay,
that
they
we had to
insisted that
close
we
one.
closed an additional.
Now, what happened to the other one, Providence? It disappeared.
It disappeared.
See, now that needs to be brought up too. What happened with that?
Well, that's why I'm here. In other words, I
Okay, so leave my district out of it?
yeah, I know. Well, that's what happens. They
I
you
do
know.
that.
And, I mean, every once in a while things shift like
Oh, I
that.
know,
All of
I
a sudden
know.
they're off
Well,
the table.
I've been waiting for 14, I haven't been here 14 years. The city's been waiting for 14 years for the frontage road. I've been here for 6. Same DOTD, no offense. But, you know, that's still nowhere in sight. We've already blown, a couple of businesses would have come and you know, we own the property of the city. We got incentives on that piece of property. We could get 2 big boxes and tax money if they would give me the frontage road. And I have been doing everything I can to get that, and I'm 6 years in, and I don't have the frontage road. So they are, you know, this has been talked about. I mean, I served with Mr. Broussard as the pro tem a whole lot of years ago, you know, that these crossings had been on the rest of them. They did the first phase. So I'm not happy either, but I'll do like I always do. What y'all want to do next? I can write them a letter, but I'm not going to do anything without talking to y'all.
Well, we definitely going to a meeting tomorrow where we can talk to a few people.
I thought of that too, and so
Yes,
and like I
indeed.
said, I've already let them know I'm probably coming, but I wanted to, you know, I always.
Think about the state money is that this is not a fiscal session. I mean, it's a fiscal session, but you need capital outlay money to fund that, unless you get special priority, and that's 24. You're looking at 24 before you get approved for money for this, and then by the time you get in priority 1, you're probably looking, you know.
Yeah, unless our legislators can talk to the governor.
Yeah.
That's
That's
know,
the only other
that's-
option.
I don't think that
It's
the
the only other
money in
option,
this
yeah.
is the option. I think it's trying to get our delegation to, you know, go to somebody with DOTD or go to the governor's office and.
Can I
Well,
ask a question?
Sean's actually retiring March 7th, so.
So
So do we
Yeah,
all
we need to
agree?
hit him up before he leaves.
Do we all agree? Do we all agree that as a city we don't have 450,000 to put up for
400,000 to 500,000.
500,000?
No, we don't.
We don't. So that's, you know, at least we know that
I don't have
option.
that in the general fund to say I'm gonna pay
No.
that one crossing. I don't.
So we got to
The
find.
flip side, I
something
don't
else.
like the answer.
Yeah.
So I guess what we do is I will write a letter in objection to this. We didn't vote on it, but we had a discussion, and that's at least, you know, a start. So I'll write a letter in objection to this, and we'll all call our delegation in the morning and see if they maybe can help us.
Do we have a timetable on this?
I think we holding the show up, but they haven't been looking to move very quickly.
They never do.
They never do. Didn't they just settle with the parish? Do you know if they settled that for the property and all of that? I think they're still working on that. So it's not gonna happen overnight. We have some time. I'm not gonna let them put pressure on me that I'm holding up the railroad, because I'm not. So I think we have some time that if we act on it, you know, and get people moving on it.
Well,
I don't agree with this.
I really wish Mr. Broussard had been here tonight because I know he I guess because he's on the railroad committee, he has a lot of talk with these people about these things, and I don't know if talking to him constantly about this is helping our situation any. If you keep something fresh on somebody's mind sometimes, you get what you get. You know, you pushing for this, but now they pushing back with that. But we can still push also.
Mhm.
But sometimes if you just be a little quiet, then sometimes things will go
Sometimes the
away.
squeaky wheel gets the grease, and sometimes it gets cut off.
They have a new guy come and take Shrewsbury's place
Yeah,
in 3 months or 4 months. They already hired him.
yeah, I saw that.
That could be a good thing.
So is this just a never-ending process? They are constantly going to request that we close a railroad crossing.
Oh, yeah, you're not gonna get out of it. They're not coming to put the arms and lights till we close something. One time they wanted to close, and Councilwoman Ledbetter's not wrong. One of them disappeared, we don't even talk
Right,
about it.
right,
They don't even talk about it anymore. So now it's up to, you know, something's gonna close for them to come. And they have been hanging that over our head for quite a while.
Years.
Years.
That's crazy.
So they're like, don't change the plan and we're coming. If you change the plan, you have to come up with this money.
Wow. Yeah, so obviously I think we're all against closing any kind of railroad crossing. And I'm sure Mr. Broussard has something to do with those arms being put up to begin with, right?
Oh, he did. He got all the money from,
It's really
he
waiting.
got the money from Vitter's office and it was for an overpass. But he just had part of it. But he got the money on his own. That dude was elected city council and within 4 or 5 months came over here with a big pot of money that he got from Vitter was leaving office. And Vitter basically threw it and David catched it. I mean, how it happened was a crazy deal, but he did it. So he comes here with the money and he's pushing for an overpass. But we would still have to come up with millions of dollars that we couldn't. So for about a year, David pushed for the overpass at every meeting, very often, and tried, okay? And that dude had the heart. Well, it wasn't going anywhere. Then we needed money for the Armico pump station because the West End was flooding. So David made some decisions. He said, okay, we're not gonna get an overpass. I realize we're not getting one. He gave money to go to Armico, and he gave money to put all the arms and lights that we have up now. So he split his money between the Armico and the railroad crossings. So that's how we have the crossings that we have. And that's how he became Mr. Railroad and has been his passion ever since. But he put some money up for Armico as well. And that's kind of the history of that. So he knows all these people that have been in office as long as he has. But yeah, we wouldn't have what we have if it wasn't for him.
And they're trying to
That's
take
true.
it away.
But I called him. I said, look, I can wait till the next meeting. No, you know how he talks. He was fine with, I'm not going to imitate him. He was fine with doing it, and he says, do it. He said, you know, we're going to have to write a letter. You know, we're going to have to do something. I said, yeah. I said, I will talk to you before I do anything. But on the flip side, I'd like to bring it to my council so that I can start, you know, writing letters, call our delegation, that kind of thing. I didn't want to wait for that end done. I thought the sooner that y'all told me, yeah, we don't agree with this, I would start with the delegation. And y'all can too. I mean, you know, that's what we all do.
We will.
Okay. Well, then I will keep you posted because it ain't going away. So we will all work on it.
Well, I
Yes,
still
ma'am.
say that, you know, Mr. Broussard, and he is gung-ho about having that project start, you know, with Julia Street.
Yeah, well, I
Santa
think he
Julia.
started so many years ago. He'd like to see it finished before he leaves office.
He
and
would,
kinda
and he
understands.
calls them a lot, and I honestly think that they don't really like that.
He-
Don't wanna be bothered with that right now. And-
Deidre.
So we'll bother him more.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's what
I'll
it
tell
is.
you, and I'll tell you, I did call him and talk to him, and what he told me is that he's pretty much up to his gill with it, and he said he just soon let him close Caroline, put the crossings up, and be done with it, because he didn't know where to get the money to move this. That's where he's at right now. So, you know, he'll tell us that next meeting, but that was his thoughts, because he's been fighting a long battle with this, and he wants to see closure on it.
Yeah.
You know, and not that we agree that's the right thing to do, but
Which
he
is
does.
not, which
you
is
know,
not.
He
It's-
does
it's
want to see
definitely
closure.
not.
Let
But
me ask a question, and this is just me going back and reading through this again. So why did we ask for the estimated cost to close there? Did they tell us that if we
We
wanted to close?
didn't, they just
You didn't?
they sent us an email and said there was gonna be a cost, and the email was messed up, and it had, how much cost did it have?
$0.
Yeah, where the money was, it had $0. I said, Laney, I got to know what that is. I got to bring it to my council. It's not going to be $0 because they said verbally that it was going to be $400,000 to $500,000.
Okay.
So when you tell me $400,000 to $500,000 and you send me a letter that says 0, I'm kind of well, what the hell's this?
Hey, what's in writing is what.
I gotta
what
know.
goes.
Okay, well, but I'm not a fool. 0 wasn't gonna work. So
Well-
Laney emailed them again and said, what are you talking about? You told me it was $400,000 or $500,000. He says, yeah, it is.
Well, if you're taking that letter and say, well, this is what you sent me, rather than questioning them about it.
But the guy tells me $400,000 or $500,000.
But in writing, you had 0.
That ain't a contract.
Depends on what you get in writing, remember that.
Well,
Okay, so BNSF is saying that we would have to pay for this.
somebody has to pay for it.
Okay.
DOTD says we have to. BNSF, the railroad company, they don't care who pays for it. They not paying for it.
Okay, so if there was a way to swap out a different one, like, let's say we went back and looked at Providence and said, we're gonna close Providence, could they then do Caroline with,
You
They
change
don't
it.
wanna move the crossings, that's the deal.
And
Their
again,
study. If
what
you
I'm saying
check-
is that if the whole issue is that they wanna close one, if they close Providence and left Caroline open, or whatever, put the things there. And only reason why I say that about Providence, if you pass through on the Providence, area, it's kind of diagonal from where the parish courthouse is. There is, I mean, the biggest hole, I almost tore up the bottom of my car the other day, cause I'm riding through just to see, I'm not sure we would lose a lot if we closed Providence. There's probably gonna be a lot of constituents that are saying, what the heck is she talking about? But Caroline has a hospital with elderly people where we really need to figure out how to keep that open. And there's Providence, there's quite a few streets that you could go on that you don't have to turn on Providence to get across the track. So I'm just trying to be reasonable to make sure that we actually are really serving our constituents well. I mean, Providence is in my district. I'm not sure we're gonna lose a whole lot if we got rid of Providence. And that's my take on it. I probably don't turn on that street a lot. I won't be because of the big hole. But it's terrible. I mean, literally almost, I was about to call the city and say, y'all owe me some money. Because my spot of my car was like scraping. Anyway, I'm joking. But the fact is that how do we fix this for those constituents? We really need to do something. And I think it should be on the table that we close Providence.
It's in bad shape, she's right. Like, I try to avoid it because it's
Yeah.
in terrible condition, that
Exactly.
crossing.
I mean, seriously, I really thought I'd lose some part of the bottom of my car. That's how hard it hit. And
So do you want me to include, does the rest of the council want me to include that?
I think,
I don't mind.
that- I was in a discussion with the parish council, and from when I left the council, they were in support of closing Providence for security reasons, because they didn't want that back road, so it's still black, I can't answer why it's off the
I
table
don't know
now.
why
I
it's
don't
knocked
know
off
the
the
answer
table.
to that. Might be a good question to ask, though.
Okay, so if that's fine with all of y'all, I will include that again and say, can we offer up Providence?
does anybody have a problem with that? I mean, I'm just offering it as a solution
No,
because
know.
I want to
That's-
keep this
That's why I bring
open.
everything, because
Yeah.
that is another
I
option.
mean,
Marlon,
It just
look like
makes
you
them
could
go
think of
away.
something.
I don't have, they closed mine years ago.
I do think we need to close one so we can move
One
forward.
that they closed in
Yeah,
District Two
they're not
was
gonna do anything.
dangerous, it did this,
Yeah.
and, you know.
I just
The only
don't,
person I heard, I'm sorry.
no, you were talking, I'm sorry.
The only person I heard in opposition, I think, was Mr. Templeton, right? He was in opposition
That was
of
all.
Providence Street
Yes.
being closed.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I said. 'Cause I know he's not gonna like it, but
He does.
Will this truly get them off our back, though?
Yeah, something's got, I mean, they have to agree with us. We can't just tell them what to do, but we can suggest, and we could say, okay, go back to, we could try that. You know,
See, we offered,
something's gonna have to
we
close.
we offered Deer and instead of Caroline, which is, not that far away
It's a
from
block away.
it. Thinking that you could move the arms to Caroline.
It just made sense.
It did.
And Freddie, I'm thinking about it, but.
The letter makes no sense.
I understand.
And I could be wrong, I was telling Marlo, I think they did some initial work for Providence, moving that electrical box off the right of way already.
they did.
It did,
Yeah,
so.
they did move that box.
So I think when we're gonna bring it up, just my thought, I think when they bring it up, they're gonna say, We made some investment already for crossing arms there, so let's
Okay.
try it, let's try. But I remember us
Yeah.
talking about it, and they moved that right away, moved that box on the
Yeah, I
side.
remember the box was moved. I just wanted to try and provide a solution, just because of the fact that Caroline, to me, we have to figure out how to solve this issue, because we don't want people stuck on that side on the wrong side of the track trying to get to the hospital. That's a major issue for me.
Give it a shot.
Okay. All right, well, I got my marching orders. I'll write a letter in the morning, and I'll call my delegation, and y'all do the same. Okay, thank
Do
you.
that tomorrow.
Yeah, y'all gonna have an opportunity tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good.
And hopefully Mr. Templeton won't get too angry with me. It
makes sense.
makes sense.
It
It
makes
does.
sense.
Anybody
Short
who's,
blocks, it makes sense.
yeah, it's really short and it's,
It makes sense.
yeah.
I was
It's
thinking
a
that
good
too.
idea.
All right, moving on, Councilman's remarks. I will start on your side, Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed.
Okay, so I just wanted to let people know that we're going to have a community baby shower on March 25th at the Slyman Theater, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. Please come out. There's going to be lots of free things for people, and then there's going to be some vendors there, help you sign up for Medicaid and stuff like that if it's something you need. So please come out. Also, on April 29th, we're going to have a free home buyer class, so that people can come and learn about being a homeowner. And you will get a certificate at the end of the class so that you could take with you to the bank or whatever institution you're going to use in order for you to qualify for as a new homeowner. So we're asking people to please come out for that. It's going to be, right now, we think it's going to be held at Mount Zion. I'm sorry, I keep saying Mount Zion. That's Atlanta. Zion Hill Baptist Church. But I'll give you guys more details as we get closer to the date. But it is a free class, and it's what every new homeowner has to do. You have to go through a home buyer's class. So this will be free, and you'll have your certificate, and this is going to be what you need when you go to the bank. So please come out and participate in the class. And if you have kids and stuff, we're going to have things for the kids to do. Don't stay home because you don't have a babysitter. We're going to provide some sort of babysitting services for the children, because we want everybody who's eligible to come or who wants to come and learn about being a homeowner to come out for this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Want to invite everybody to the annual Black History Tea at the Masonic Hall on the corner of Ann and Arlene Street at 3 o'clock on Sunday. We're going to be honoring 3 individuals from the area, from New Iberia, Miss Bicola Volta. Most of you all know her. She was a florist and is still a florist in town here, has been for a long time. Also, there will be somebody from, Miss Terry Folcart, who is the First Lady of Franklin, the mayor's wife. She's going to be honored. And also Pastor Lee, I think his name is Cantel, from Morgan City.
3 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
Got
3 o'clock.
Sunday.
Tickets are $5. So come on out and share in the festivities. Oh, and the NAACP will be giving an award, and yours truly will be receiving that award.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. So come on out.
See you there on Sunday.
Okay.
Great.
So I don't have a whole lot to speak of. If it's all right, can I ask Richard to come up, give us a construction update on the Pepperplex?
Yeah, it's your time.
Richard,
Sure.
want to come up, just give us an update on construction, please? I saw you sitting back there, and I said, you gotta, please,
Just before I was about to leave.
I was hoping he'll hurry up.
Good evening, how y'all doing?
All right.
So what's the question?
Just give me a construction update on the Pepperplex. I've
Well-
seen pictures, I've gone out there riding, just looking and
Yeah.
kind of touring and just,
Well,
I talk to
everybody,
Craig every morning. So, I get a little bit from him.
you get a little update, yeah. So we're fighting the weather, as everybody knows.
Exactly what he said.
Unfortunately, it's just been a challenge. Every 4 or 5 days we have clear weather, and then just when it's ready to start pouring, we have to, the rain comes. So, but that's happened the last 2.5 months. So 2 of the front fields are poured, and they're ready to go. We haven't, and that's we call them the south fields, the softball fields, closest to the existing concession area. So we have tryouts this Saturday for Evangeline Little League, and there's also some soccer activity going on this Saturday. So that's happening in the front, in the front and the back is where we're having the issues. 3 of the T-ball fields are completely poured. They were working on the fences today, so they're really close. The concession building they're under roof now working. The plumbers are starting to put some stuff in, and they were setting up concrete to pour on the back area all around the concession stands to connect all the fields. The biggest challenge is going to be to pour the 3 large fields which are left to do. And they've created a path that's going to go actually through what was Norris Field, through the outfield, to the next field, to the next field to pour it, and then back it out in reverse order. Talking about hundreds of trackings per field for the concrete, because they don't use a Georgia buggy. It's a bigger piece of equipment that holds, so many yards, but it has to come from the main truck and then be hauled. And of course, everything's settling while that's happening, so it's just all kind of issues that go with that
You can't
from the
pump it.
construction side. You
Some-
can't pump it.
Some world you can, but you can't pump it
Yeah.
because if you use a concrete pumper,
So-
it tears up what you're pumping into because of the turf. You can't do it.
Too violent, yeah.
So our vision of possibly timetable is probably gonna be prolonged. I would
It is, and so there's a gentleman that works for the Softball Association who has 12 tournaments, 12 weekends he's trying to reserve, and I don't want to do it. There's no reason to do it. It just, to put the product out at a halfway, just,
I agree.
people are going to walk away, say, oh, here we go again,
No, we can't have that.
So we're all hearing that now. So what we've decided is to, moving forward, is just to try to let this season happen with the Little League. And then if some point during the season we can adjust and open up for some tournaments, we'll do that. But the concession area is not slated to finish until the middle of the summer. So if that's on schedule, and it should be, we shouldn't be delayed with that because everything's under roof
I
now.
think it's gonna be the fields.
Yeah, so it's gonna be the fields. And grass has to grow in and all, as it is on the front fields. They did some work this week to remedy the situation, but there won't be full grass on the field right now because they've tracked it so hard with the equipment.
Right.
It's just gonna take some time, but they're gonna spray it, they're gonna hydroseed it, so we're gonna get something growing. But as soon as we put the players on it, that's gonna cause an impact too, so. We're just gonna limp through this season, I guess is the bottom line. We all had great expectations and hopes that we were gonna get it done before, on schedule, but the weather, we had that great dry period, the drought, which allowed us to do a lot of things, but as soon as we were ready to pour is when Mother Nature kicked in and we just patiently or impatiently for some,
Other than the weather, no big surprises though.
Hasn't been any surprises. Tremendous amount of dirt because they're starting to sculpt for drainage. So there's gonna be a lot of dirt left over, which I've got some ideas
That's
to
the
use
plan.
for different places, which is gonna be good.
That's why we bought you a tractor.
Yeah, so, working with a few sponsors, trying to talk to a few sponsors to get them out there to get some idea about what their interests are. We don't even have prices yet, but we're gonna be working on that to get it, for some fundraising activities. The other big challenge will be the batting cage, which we cut out of the budget, so trying to find a sponsor to offset that, somebody that's willing to put their name on it. Kane's has been there in the past. They've paid a small fee just to have a sign there, their sign, 4x8 sign, but hopefully we can get something bigger. And that would be lighting it. It's already lit, but to be able to put a roof on it possibly, do something like Bank Street where the roof comes down a little bit, 3/4 or so, a quarter down,
Yeah.
so that we have some protection. So that at least if it's raining, the youth can go in there and have some practices or some.
That would be
Work on
a
that.
huge asset.
Right.
Right.
But come on out. Some have been out. Keep
I've been
coming.
trying to go.
Call me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm there. Most of the time I am. Not always.
You're always
but
busy.
Call.
So
Yeah.
one more question, I'll let you go. Maintenance, you can do all the maintenance this summer, you and your,
Right now I'm still doing it. Yeah, just trying to get it ready. And the volunteers, got some good people helping on the soccer side. Baseball's been, they've not been out there yet, but they're going to start showing up, and I'm hopeful to be able to get a few of them to help assist. But shout out to Jonathan Norris. He's been like a great help for everything that happens out there. On his spare times, on his day off, Mardi Gras, he was out there on his day off Monday and then Tuesday. So big thanks to what he's doing. He's been a great help.
Thanks.
Anything else? Any other
Thank you.
questions? All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this Saturday, there's a Black History program sponsored by Set Free Ministry, Sons of King, New Chapter Push. I think it starts at 10 o'clock and it ends at 3 o'clock. Also, so it's going to be lit in the Western Park this weekend. There's also a free community health fair. It's this Saturday as well, and that's from 10 to 1. I think they're going to do a health walk as well with Supernatinum and the Diabetic Kitchen. They're going to have a lot going on out there. Last official meeting in Black History Month. Freddie, I hope y'all know I do prepare these speeches. And I thought about you today. And I want to appreciate you as mayor. I got 2 more Black Histories. This is the second to last Black History Month. And I was thinking about all the diversity that you've brought to our city, and a lot of people don't know. You got Laney. I think Laney might be our first African-American clerk.
Gotta be.
I don't remember.
Gotta be.
Yeah. You had 5J Construction that remodeled the police.
Yeah, I forgot about this.
I've been watching you. I've been putting a little fire in, and you've been handling up. So I appreciate it. The mural in the West End Park is amazing. Came out of my $100,000. You get a chance to go by and see it. We're going to be doing a ribbon cutting on that as well, right?
Yes.
Our wrought iron sign with Martin Luther King quote in front of the building. I appreciate you, for answering the calls that I had to continue celebrating our history, and of course, look, man, since 1976, they had 4 people that sat in this seat. Tyrone Charles was the first. My grandfather, Emory Lewis, was the second. Miss Peggy Jarrett was the third. Mr. Ernest Wilson was the 4th. And myself, Marlon Lewis, is number 5. I have big shoes to fill. I'm honored to be only the 5th person to sit in the first African-American seat for the city. I think that one came out, District 5 came out of the 1980 census, where Mr. Broussard, Elton Broussard was the first for District 5.
Yep.
So it's some history that we need to recognize because the struggle is real. But we here, man, I think we got a diverse city, and I know for sure this mayor has been doing a lot to promote diversity.
I didn't do anything.
That's all I have.
I didn't do anything alone. Thank you for that, but it takes all of us, and we all work together very well. So we're just blessed to live in the city we live in. We live in a good spot.
We don't have all we want, but we appreciate what you've done.
We'll never have all
We don't have all we want, but we appreciate what you've done.
Thank you. Councilwoman Morka.
Okay, so you can still register for Evangeline Little League. Baseball registration ends this Saturday, February 25th, and that's also when tryouts are, Saturday and Sunday. And then softball registration will end March 4th, and then they'll have their tryouts March 4th and 5th. So there's still a little bit more time left to sign up. If you know anyone that needs to sign up for baseball or softball, just let them know that they do still have time. And how are we doing with picking up signs off of the street corners?
I have an announcement for that.
Okay, well then I'm done. I'll let you take over.
Thank you. Our next meeting is March the 7th, and then this is kind of like our final warning that, we're asking people to remove signs off of telephone poles, to keep your signs, to remove them at intersections and right-of-ways throughout the city. Not talking about private property, but I've seen a few people pick theirs up, but not a whole lot. So we are giving this one more kind of public service announcement to please pick them up, and then after that, by Monday, Jimmy will start picking them up, and I probably will ask Public Works to assist as well so that I can get them up pretty quickly because there's a lot of them. So this is kind of our last-ditch effort to say, I know those signs are expensive, go get your signs. But thank you for bringing that up. Let's see, we have the MS Stormwater Survey that's still on our website if people want to participate. And we still have properties for sale through Civic Source. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.